I want everyone to turn on their cameras. I'm waiting for that. This is important because this will increase your own engagement for the class. Ishan, don't play around. Arif, Sukriti, Saksham, Archit, Parth, Aditya, Mayank, Kashish, Tripti, please turn on your cameras. Okay, so this was for your own benefit. Today's class is basically a quick revision of concepts of critical reasoning. The XAT paper is comparatively more difficult in terms of the verbal ability and the reading comprehension part. And a major chunk of questions in case of reading comprehension are perception questions, and perception questions require an extra understanding of critical reasoning. Apart from this, critical reasoning questions come separately also in case of XAT, which makes critical reasoning even more important for the XAT examination. We have already covered that assumptions are of four different types. There's a common sense assumption, which is found through the dominoes method, where you identify a mismatch and connect that mismatch. Then there is a causal and a reverse causal assumption in case of all the causal arguments. And there is a dumb assumption. There's also a plan argument with a plan assumption inside it. In case of assumption questions, always remember the right answer will always strengthen the conclusion and it will preferably be in scope. Wrong answers will always be those which will weaken the conclusion or will have no effect upon conclusion. These two types of answer choices are called as irrelevant answer choices. Apart from this, we do not prefer answer choices which are out of scope. But in rare situations, yes, we may end up picking up an answer choice which is out of scope also. So in case of today's session, we are going to start with the next type of question, which is strengthening question. For students who joined in early, I've already shared an exercise. I'm sharing the exercise once again. From this exercise, which I've just shared, I'm opening that up on the screen as well. I want you to go to page number 9 and attempt question numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 by whatever method you think is right. Then we learn about strengthening of arguments, the concepts, and we'll do questions based upon this area. Question numbers 1 to 5. Can we start? Turn on your mic and quickly say yes or a no.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In case of previous classes, we've already talked about assumptions. In case of assumptions, arguments are of several types. There is a common sense argument, a causal argument, a dumb argument, and a plan argument. In a case of a common sense argument, you find something called as a common sense assumption, which is found by identifying the mismatch and making a logical connection between the mismatch. In case of causal arguments, you have to find two assumptions. One is a simple causal assumption, and the second one is a reverse causal assumption. And whenever you get a question which has one answer choice which is similar to a reverse causal assumption, then that is a most preferred answer. The only area of subjectivity in case of critical reasoning is where you prefer a reverse causal assumption answer as compared to any other answer. Then dumb arguments will have a dumb assumption, plan arguments will have a plan assumption. In case of assumption questions, the right answer will always strengthen the conclusion and will preferably be in scope. Wrong answers are those which either weaken the conclusion or else have no effect upon the conclusion. These two type of answers are called as irrelevant answers. Also, you have to take care that an easy way to do these question assumption is to preferably kick out all answer choices which are out of scope, and you will definitely be left with one answer choice, and that will be the right answer. Suppose all the answer choices are out of scope. then in that situation, you will have to pick up an answer which is in scope, but will definitely strengthen the conclusion. This is what we have already learned in previous classes. In case you have missed this particular part, this takes about 1.5 hours, then I can share a link of a video and you can possibly watch that video. In today's class, I'm continuing with my discussion of my XAT classes. So I will start with the strengthening questions. In case of strengthening questions, always remember that the paragraph or the argument on top is similar to those in case of assumption questions. The CRA method, or a method in which you identify the conclusion, reasons, and find out the assumption, this method is required here as well. The right answer in case of strengthening question either is the same as the assumption, or it gives an out of scope example to prove that the assumption or the conclusion or the whole argument is correct. At times, you may even have a strengthening question where the right answer is the same as one of the sentences which is written in the paragraph. Obviously, all information given in the argument strengthens the argument. As a result, if there's a repetition of information in any of the answer choices, that answer choice will be the right answer to a strengthening question. This will happen. This is there to surprise you, to shock you, and to catch you unawares. So, I want you to attempt this particular question right now, and then we learn from it. 2 minutes only. Only Mayank has sent me the answer. Please send in your answers. Mayank and Tomar have got the right answer. Parth has to check the answer again. SR has to check the answer again. Tripti has to check the answer again. Archit has got the right answer. Aditya has to check his answer. Gayatri has to check her answer. Sukriti also has to check the. No, Sukriti is perfectly right in the answer. Harib, right answer. Good. Chalo. Let's look at the procedure now. Whenever I do a critical reasoning question, always remember the first step is to read this middle part of the whole question. This is called as a question stem. And question stem will always have a certain word which will tell you what type of a question is it. When I read this question, I come across the word strengthen, I understand it is a strengthening question. There, apart from the word strengthen, there are other keywords also for strengthening questions. So once I've read the word strengthen and identify it as a strengthening question, I need to read the paragraph on top. And the first step after reading the paragraph has to be to understand what is the conclusion of this argument. So the conclusion of this argument is this particular part, the last sentence of the paragraph. Clearly, the referee is not guilty of making biased decisions in favor of his countrymen. So the argument's conclusion is the referee is not guilty of making biased decisions or he is not doing partiality. And when I read the rest of the first two sentences, I will realize that the second sentence out here is actually giving me a reason as to why the referee is unbiased. It says, however, an examination of his penalty card record shows that in matches involving a contestant from China and a contestant from another country, he awarded a decision in favor of his countrymen in only 30% of the cases. So I will pick up the word 30% from here and not guilty from here. And based upon this mismatch, I will make my assumption, which will say that if you favor your own countrymen in only 30% of the cases, it shows that you are not guilty of making biased decisions. Based upon this assumption, now when I look at answer choices, uh, A answer choice says the referee has a record of fair and impartial judging of matches which took place in his own country. Does this prove that this argument is right? Does this prove that this conclusion is correct? We don't know in this question's language whether this match is going to happen in Argentina, is it going to happen in China, or is it going to happen in a third country? That is the reason why A answer choice is not strengthening. As a result, I will go in for kicking out this answer choice. This is wrong. Then I look at B choice, it says during the previous event, the team from China won more than 50% of their matches. This answer choice B is actually telling me about how good, bad, ugly the team from China is. It is not telling me anything about whether this referee is a fair referee or is he unfair. This is the reason why even B choice is a wrong answer. If I look at C choice, it says during the same time period, a team from China won an average of 40% of all their matches, regardless of who was judging the matches. This again tells me about the team from China. It does not tell me anything about whether the referee is guilty or not guilty. This is the reason why this is also not relevant to the argument. As a result, it gets kicked out. If I look at D choice, it says the referee is only a naturalized citizen of China. Now, I keep on repeating in my classes that in order to do these questions, it is not only your ability to handle critical reasoning which is required, and this happens in case of all areas. It happens in parajumbles, it happens in reading comprehension also, that all of these questions require a certain amount of background contextual knowledge. If your vocabulary is not good, if your grammar is not good, or if your reading habits are not good, then you are going to get stuck on questions even if you know how to do that question. If you do not know the meaning of this particular word, naturalized citizen, then you cannot attempt this question. It's as simple as that. This question is a difficult question because you will not be able to understand what D choice is saying. A naturalized citizen is somebody who belongs to some other country but shifts to a particular country and lives there for a certain time period, and after that takes the nationality of that country. Does this in any manner prove that referee is guilty or not guilty? It does not. That is the reason why uh, answer choice D is also wrong. That leaves me with E choice. And if I look at E choice, it says awarding the penalty card in 70% of the instances against your own country is enough to exhibit non-partisan behavior on the part of the referee. This is the same as assumption which we had made. We made the assumption in case of this question that if you favor your own country in 30% of the cases, then this shows that you are not guilty of making biased decisions, which is another way of saying if you take a decision against your own country in 70% of the cases, it shows that you are not guilty. So E is the same as our assumption, although it uses a different language. This is the reason why it is the right answer. Ask me any questions by turning on your mic and be free to ask. No doubts? Do we move on ahead? In case of that VARC section, yes, we can go in for taking help for politically incorrect statements. But remember, that is the second line of attack, not the first line. First, you'll try to solve it. If you get stuck with two, three answer choices which look equally good to you, or if you are stuck with a question where you simply cannot find the answer and you still want to do the question, then you can take help of politically correct and incorrect language. Let's move to the next question. Now I want you to write down whatever is coming on the board. In case of strengthening questions, the procedure is you first of all identify the question type. Question type of these critical reasoning questions is identified by reading the middle part of the question. So you read the question stem and identify which type of a question it is. If you come across words such as which one of the following strengthens, which one of the following justifies the argument above or the conclusion above, which one of the following supports the argument above, which one of the following defends the argument above, these are keywords to identify strengthening questions. Once you identify the question type, the second step is you work upon the argument. Working on the argument means you read the paragraph given on top, identify the conclusion and reasons, figure out the assumptions. After you've done this, then you look at answer choices. And when you check answer choices, right answer will either be the same as your assumption, or the right answer will give an example to prove that one of the assumptions is correct. There may even be a situation where the right answer is the same as one of the sentences given on top. That can also happen. And that loves exceptions. That's the reason why this is usually the right answer. Now, this is one method of solving this question type. But suppose you could not figure out the assumption. If you cannot figure out the assumption, then there is a dumb way of doing these questions also. And that dumb way is that if you cannot identify the assumption, then at least identify whatever is the conclusion. After you've identified the conclusion, that is something which almost everyone can do. Then you straight away look at the answer choices and you do process elimination. And process elimination means that the right answer will always be relevant to the argument, which means it will have an effect upon the strength or the weakness of the argument, and it will always strengthen the argument and the conclusion. Wrong answers will be those which will be irrelevant, which means answer choices which neither strengthen nor weaken and have no effect upon the conclusion. They are irrelevant answer choices, and there may even be an answer choice which is relevant, but it is weakening the conclusion or doing exactly the opposite thing of whatever is required. This answer choice also has to be kicked out. So, as a result of this, when you are attempting strengthening questions and you're looking at answer choices, always remember, eliminate answer choices which are not relevant, any answer choice which is weakening the conclusion. And a new thing on this page which you have to remember is any answer choice which requires an extra assumption to strengthen it is an answer choice which is wrong. So, what should a strengthening answer look like? What should the right answer look like? It will either be the same as or a variation of one of the assumptions which you have already scribbled on your rough paper, or it will be an example, an out of scope example which proves the assumption to be correct. This right answer may be in scope, it may be out of scope, which means scope is something which you are not going to worry about in case of strengthening questions. The right answer will definitely be relevant. The right answer will definitely strengthen the conclusion. At times, and that has a bad reputation for this, at times it may happen that the right answer may be the same as the conclusion, and you find it so dumb that you do not choose this answer. Or the right answer may be same as one of the reason which has been written on top in the paragraph on top. Or the right answer gives an example to prove that the conclusion is correct or a reason is correct. This is applicable in case of difficult questions only. I want you to take a screenshot of this particular slide. I want you to do one more question. This one. 2 minutes. Tomar, good. Right answer. Okay, let's discuss. When I look at this question, I will first of all read this middle part of the question first, as a first step. Say which of the following, if true, provides the most support. Most support is the key word for a strengthening question. This particular word, most, is confusing word. It is there to add to your confusion. It will give you an impression that possibly there are more than one answer choices which actually support the argument given on top. And I need to have a preference order in my head, a set of rules which will tell me which one of the following is really supporting more. No, don't worry about this particular word, most. Mentally cancel it. So the question is actually asking which of the following, if true, provides a support for the argument above. So I read this particular argument, and after I go in for reading this argument, I can see that the second sentence is actually the conclusion. It says, because coal smoke presents such a high health risk, legislation is needed to regulate the use of coal for heating of houses during winter. And first sentence is the reason. I need to look for an answer choice which says that we need a law to control the use of coal or to decrease the use of coal for heating of houses during winter. This is the conclusion. This is a plan argument. And plan argument assumption is this plan will work or this plan is needed. So when I look at answer choices, then and I look at A as an answer choice, it says the number of houses relying on coal for heating are insignificant as compared to those relying on electricity. This A answer choice is saying that we don't need the legislation, which makes this a wrong answer. We are looking for an answer which proves that legislation is needed. A is not doing that. It is doing exactly opposite and saying legislation is not needed. So A is a wrong answer. If I look at B choice, it says amount of dangerous toxins contained in coal smoke is much less than the amount contained in an equal volume automobile exhaust. The decision is not to be taken by comparing these two numbers. Moreover, comparisons are always suspicious characters. And this is actually giving me an impression that legislation is not needed. So this is weakening the argument. The first one is also weakening the argument. If I look at C choice, it says within the jurisdiction covered by proposed legislation, most heating is done with oil or natural gas. If most of the heating is done with oil or natural gas, then automatically we don't need the legislation, which means C is also weakening the argument, so it is a wrong answer. In case of D choice, it says in valleys where coal is used as a primary heating fuel for houses, the concentration of smoke results in poor air quality. Yes, this D choice is giving me a reason why we actually require legislation. So this one is strengthening the argument. I will keep it, but I will still check all the rest of the remaining answer choices. If I look at each as an answer choice, it says no significant beneficial effect on air quality would result if use of coal was banned within the jurisdiction covered by the proposed legislation. This one is giving me an impression that legislation is not needed. If legislation is not needed, then this is a wrong answer because this is weakening the argument. The right answer becomes option D. That's the right one. Now, let me just look at B's out of scope. Okay, Parth, we don't need to worry about scope and out of scope in case of questions of strengthening, weakening, evaluate, in all of these questions. We have to worry about scope and out of scope as reasons for picking up an answer or kicking out an answer only in case of assumption questions. Now let's come to the question which you already attempted. Some students had joined a little bit late, so I'm putting that on the screen once again. I want you to spend 5 more minutes upon the 5 questions which you've attempted. 5 more minutes. And I'm sharing the exercise again because there's one more student who's joined lately. For the student who just joined, I've shared an exercise in chat. I want you to look at question numbers 1 and बाकी लोग question number 1 to 5 को एक बार फिर से देखेंगे and then we are going to discuss that. I'm giving you 5 more minutes to look at these 5 questions once again. Art, I'm just showing you that question.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I have a doubt in question B. Basically, it's just repeating what is said in the passage, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean,
No,
it is
no,
a
no.
dumb
It is not repeating the information. It is doing an unnecessary comparison between two things.
in D option, sir, and in
Okay.
D option.
Yes. And
So,
that is what makes D a very unattractive answer.
yes,
But isn't D saying the same kind of things which the paragraph on top is saying?
it is
Isn't
simply
D giving
repeating
me an
it.
impression that legislation is needed?
Hmm.
That is what makes it a right answer.
It is more like a dumb argument, right?
No, no. It is a dumb answer. It is
Okay.
a very easy answer. When you're giving the XAT examination and every question will be horrible and would be difficult, and you come across a question where D is dumb and easy and is almost similar to whatever is written here. It has
Mhm.
the same viewpoint. Then you
Okay.
will not pick up D as an answer. D is not giving a strong reason. But it is
Hmm.
giving a reason.
Okay.
This is what makes this question more difficult.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So quickly go through those 5 questions and then we discuss all of them. 5 minutes in all.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Ask me.
Sir, in case of strengthening questions, so suppose there are two options. One is specific to a certain example, and second is general statement. Both are supporting a conclusion. So we have to prioritize
There
which kind
will
of statement.
always be only one answer choice which will strengthen. Others will either weaken the argument or else they will have no effect on the argument. They will have no effect upon the conclusion. So you never have to choose between two answers, which are both right. There is
Sir,
always only one right answer.
so if the question stem says that which most support the argument. So in that,
The word most is used to confuse you, to give you an impression that there is more than one correct answer, and you have to choose the more correct answer.
okay, sir.
Okay? यही तो बात मैं बताना चाह रहा था
So there
जब
will
मैंने
be
मोस्ट
only
के बारे में
one
बात की थी.
option
There will always be only one right answer.
which strengthens. So others would either be irrelevant or weaken the
Yeah, yes, yes,
argument.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's start. If I look at question number 1, the moment it says strengthen, this is the only word which tells me this is a strengthening question. The words most and the word significantly are to be ignored. They have been added to the language of the question to confuse you. Ignore them. You basically have to look for an answer choice which strengthens. There will be only one answer choice which will strengthen. Now, when I read this paragraph, this is the conclusion, the last part of this paragraph. In simple language, this uses a very complicated language. But in simple language, the sentence is saying if a child is born and brought up in Lakshadweep, the child will be expected to live longer than if the child was born and brought up in Delhi. I have 3 statistics here. The lifespan of Indian population is 73.9 years. This is one reason. Lakshadweep lifespan is 77 years, which is the highest, and Delhi is 71.17, which is the lowest. Delhi is 71.7, which is the lowest. Based upon this, I need to look for an answer choice which will strengthen. When I connect my conclusion with the reason, I can only make one assumption. And that assumption is there is something good about Lakshadweep because of which people will live longer there. Or I can say that there is something bad about Delhi because of which people live for a shorter lifespan there. When I look at A as an answer, it says as population density increases in Lakshadweep, life expectancy figures for that state are likely to be revised downwards. This is weakening the argument. So it is the wrong answer. If I look at B choice, it says environmental factors tending to favor longevity are abundant in Lakshadweep and less numerous in Delhi. This is telling me that this is something good in Lakshadweep because of which people will live longer there. So B Bombay is strengthening the whole argument. This should be the right answer. Other answer choices will definitely be weakening or they will be irrelevant. C says 25% of all Delhites who move to Lakshadweep live longer than 77 years. Now, C as an answer choice is very attractive because it gives me an impression that there is something good about Lakshadweep. But although it is a cute answer, it is not cute enough. Why is it not cute enough? It is not cute enough because it's talking about 25% only. If here it would have been talking about any figure more than 50%, then C was a perfectly strengthening answer. Because this answer can have one more implication that 75% of the Delhites who move to Lakshadweep, they die the next day. So C choice can strengthen or weaken depending upon more information. This is the reason why C choice is the wrong answer. D answer choice is clearly saying the studies show that average life expectancy for Lakshadweepians who move to permanently to Delhi is roughly equal to that of Delhites who move to Lakshadweep. This is neither strengthening nor weakening. Rather, if you look at it, it is actually weakening. It is saying that life expectancy in Delhi as well as Lakshadweep will be the same. So the right answer for the first question will be B Bombay. If I come to the second question, it says toughened hiring. Okay. When I look at this question, the word support in the question's language says it's a strengthening question. This is a key word for strengthening questions. So when I read this paragraph on top, the conclusion out here is this first sentence. Toughened hiring standards are not the reason for staffing problem or less staff in case of public schools. And reason given is shortage of teachers is primarily because of teachers have not experienced any improvement in working conditions and their salaries have not been good as compared to other professions. So I'm looking for something which agrees with this information. A says many teachers already in the profession would not have been hired under the new hiring standards. This is giving me an impression that the new hiring standards are very strict. As a result, it is weakening the argument which was saying toughened hiring standards have not been the main reason. So A as an answer choice is weakening the argument. B says today more teachers are entering the profession with a higher education level than in the past is neither strengthening nor is it weakening. That is the reason why option B is the wrong answer. C choice says some teachers have cited higher standards for hiring as a reason for current staffing shortage. This is saying that higher standards for hiring is the reason for the shortage. This is again weakening the argument. D answer choice is saying many teachers have cited low pay and lack of professional freedom as reason for their leaving the profession. This is saying the same as whatever this reason is saying. Bad salary, bad conditions, working conditions. As a result, option D is the right answer. D Delhi is the right answer. Then, if I come to question number 3, third question, it goes in for using the words additional premise. Which one of the following will support the conclusion by being added into the argument as an additional premise? So, out here, the conclusion is this last sentence. Last sentence has fancy language, but it is actually saying in simple language that money from educational computer softwares should go to the teachers. And the reason behind this conclusion is given in the first sentence. It says money from inventions goes to universities and money from books and articles goes to the faculty members. Based upon this, we can make two assumptions. One assumption will say that books and articles are similar to softwares. Another one would say softwares are not similar to inventions. When I look at answer choices, D answer choice is saying whatever the assumption is. D is saying in terms of criteria used to award royalties, educational software programs are more nearly comparable to books and articles than to inventions. But if I look at A, B, and C choices, A says royalty from inventions are higher than royalty from educational software programs. It doesn't strengthen. What faculty members are more likely to produce does not prove why they should get the money from softwares. If inventions bring more prestige, how does that strengthen the conclusion that money from softwares which are developed by teachers should go to the teachers? So A, B, and C are not strengthening. As a result, they're wrong. Then comes the fourth question. The fourth question's paragraph is a plan argument. So any answer choice which says that this plan is right or this plan will work is the right answer. This paragraph is saying that the cost-effective solution to the problem of airport congestion is to provide high-speed ground transportation between major cities lying 200 to 500 miles apart. The successful implementation of this plan would cost far less than expanding existing airports and would also reduce the number of airports clogging both airports and airways. Okay, so I need to look for something which says that yes, a high speed ground transportation system between major cities lying 200 to 500 miles apart will be a cost effective solution to airport congestion problem. So if I look at answer choices, A answer choice says an effective high speed ground transportation system would require major repairs. If it requires major repairs, it will not be cost effective solution. So A is proving that this plan will not work because it will take a lot of money. If I look at B choice, it says one half of all departing flights in the nation's busiest airport head for a destination in a major city 225 miles away. This B answer choice is saying 50% of the people go to a distance which is in this range. As a result, if you have good road transportation system, then some of these people will go by road and congestion at the airports will get decreased. So B answer choice is saying this plan will work. It will decrease congestion at airports. B is the right answer. If I look at C as an answer choice, it is talking about a distance of 600 miles. And 600 miles is out of the range of 200 to 500 miles. As a result, it is not strengthening my plan. If I look at D choice, it says many new airports are being built in areas that are presently served by high-speed ground transportation system. This answer choice is not proving that if we build roads, then automatically air congestion at airports will become less. But a lot of you have actually given D as an answer because you couldn't understand what is D really saying or what its implication will be. Fifth question we are not discussing because we've already shot the time by 20 minutes. Uh, I have a question to ask you. Was this session beneficial to you? Yes, no. Turn on your mics and tell me.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Would you
Yes,
like
sir.
more
Yes, sir.
sessions
Yes,
before
sir.
that exam?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
If
Yes,
possible,
sir.
can we have one in the evening?
Okay, I'll work it out. I'll talk to Rajeshwari ma'am and then I'll give you an answer. Chalo, we'll stop here.
Sir,
Yeah, yeah, ask me.
sir, can we have a session based on reading comprehensions?
We can do that. Uh, I'm sharing some uh, links. I want you to have a look at those links. Just give me one moment. I have shared links of 3 videos. I want you to watch these videos. If you find them beneficial, like them also. And I want your feedback on these videos also. Hello, bye.